Disclaimer, disclaimer, read all about it.
Gone somewhere and dyed my hair now. Wanna be alone. It's much to bear and you don't care, and I won't play alone. I got you in my sight. I keep all the words you said to me. I get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, now you beg me please. Hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We're going to go over the Karen Reed trial evidence review today, then versus now. I think it's crucial. I have been pretty much stalking the case since I learned about it, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be very few people in here because I have not covered it like others, so they have that algorithm. I don't care. I don't. Because when this trial, I'm telling you, when this trial ends, and whatever the verdict is, which I believe it's going to be not guilty, then I want to go back and look at some of the things that I have perceived and thought of and looked at and sleuthed and all that stuff, because I see, in my opinion, I see things happening on the federal level after this case, and that interests me greatly. I am one of those believe in your government, but question the shit out of them. And they do have a great power and authority to look into corruption with local authorities, local governments. So it's very interesting how this is all going to play out potentially. Let me check in with chat. All 8 of you. Mr. Eve. Hello, love. Please support your favorite content creator by slapping that like as you come in, please, and thank you. Yes. Brooke, thank you very much. Glad you're here. I see you guys in the chat. All right. So if you're watching the replay, thank you for being here. You are as equally important. Put your comments in the boxes below and let me know how I'm doing. Let me know what you think. I honestly toot my own horn on Twitter because I get a lot of retweets on stuff that I have looked into on this case, but I don't bring it to YouTube. I'm just weird like that. If I'm doing good at one place, it's hard for me, and I know this is stupid because I have a channel, but I like to kind of keep things there. Especially if I'm late to the game, people have already grabbed the algorithm. Why, waste my time making all of these videos after videos and lives and lives? And I'm a busy mom. So, but this is trial. This is what I want to get at. This is what I have been waiting for so long. So the first thing that we're going to do, I don't know if anybody who is in the chat has seen or has been up to speed on things. However, I can do that for you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Eve. It's been busy and I've been sick, finally got better, and then busy with the kiddos. You know how it goes. So, and Mr. Eve has been busy with the kiddos if I'm, busy with other things or sick. So shout out to Mr. Eve. So let's just get into it. We're going to watch the very first arraignment of Miss Karen Reed. And it is crucial to listen to some of the things, especially when I point them out, because obviously when you're being arraigned, the probable cause has been signed off by the prosecutor, which is Lally from the Norfolk County District's Attorney's Office. So it's very important to kind of get the context from the jump as to why they indicted her, what the probable cause was, how did it change, why did she have her charge of vehicular manslaughter upgraded to second-degree murder, right? I believe, in my personal opinion, it was retaliation for naming a third-party culprit. It was very clear from the jump, for those who have was looking at the court documents, that there was going to be some kind of outside factor mentioned. I just didn't know it was going to go to the extent of a third-party culprit. I have only heard of that one other time. I can't remember the case on the top of my head, but it does happen. A lot of people will scream, "I've been framed," and they haven't been. But very rare, very rare. So when I heard about all of this stuff, when the case came up, I jumped on it. It intrigues my mind. So, Karen Reed, arraignment, $50,000 bail. That was the bail that the judge signed off for her, which was ridiculous to me, in my opinion. And you're going to see why. I am going to skip some of the things that they talk about in her court hearing, like her health issues. Let's just say that she's had a very rough road since her mid-20s regarding digestive issues and things like that. So I don't want to I think it's rude to re-embarrass her, because that stuff gets, put out there for the world to see. Right? So they arraigned her on February 2nd, 2022. If you're new to this case, real quick, Karen Reed went out with John O'Keefe, or met up with John O'Keefe at the bar in Canton, Massachusetts. Have a few drinks, go to another bar where the third-party culprits, or some of the third-party culprits, are hanging out, and they are invited, potentially lured over to a fellow Boston police officer's home. Karen waits for, or drops John O'Keefe off. He goes into the home, and she takes off because he never comes back out. Comes home, worried about him when she wakes up, goes to search for him with two other people who were in the home, and they found him on the lawn at 6 a.m. So, at Brian Albert's home. So that is pretty much like the easiest recap that I can think of. But give me just a quick second. Let's get into the arraignment. It's important. You're going to hear some of the mistakes, I believe, in my own opinion, where it's very obvious that from the jump, they knew what they were doing, meaning police, and who they were wanting to convict. Sorry, I have to go to Facebook to get that video. I don't know why they didn't put it out there. Maybe they have, and I just haven't seen it, or I missed it, but I think they streamed it live. All right, give me just 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay, we're good. We're rolling. Tigress says the same day as the first court appearance that Eve's talking about. Okay, let's get into it. This is important. You're going to hear, okay, a lot of people on the opposing side of me and my theory, which would be Karen is guilty. They think that there is something said in this arraignment that implies or mentions that basically she is saying that she may have done it by, her attorney, David Yannetti. But that is not what was said. What was said, what he is saying, and I'll point that out when it plays, is that there is no intent for specifically the bail amount and the conditions. So people really get misconstrued out there on the Twitter streets, but I digress. Let's play.
Manslaughter, 1 count of motor vehicle homicide by negligent operation of a motor vehicle, 1 count of leaving the scene of personal injury and death. These offenses taken place January 29, 2022 in the town of Canton.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm advising you pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 276, Section 58. Should you be charged with a crime or violate a release condition while this case is pending, you could be held in the House of Correction for up to 90 days without bail. Good morning, Mr. Yannetti. Good morning, Mr. Lally.
And that right there, Tigress, no offense to you, but that's wrong. That's exactly what I was actually going to talk about. Maybe that's when you heard me say that you mentioned it. So no, her lawyer did not admit to anything. He actually said that there is no intent for the other specifics. I'll get into it in just a second, but no, I don't agree that this is correct. We'll go over it. But yeah, if you could provide that link, that would be awesome. He said it outside does not count. That would be like Karen Reed saying, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. When she, in fact, couldn't have in that way when there's conflicting witness statements over time, right? Yeah, you can post it here. That's fine. Which, by the way, Katie McLaughlin, she is a firefighter who assisted with first responders. Her testimony is so important and crucial to explain and see where she fucked up, in my opinion, because her testimony not only evolved, right, but Trooper Proctor being involved in the interview process, and then Jim McCabe, the other woman who was with Karen and Carrie Roberts when they found John, her statement conflicts with Katie McLaughlin's. It is very crucial that the defense pinpointed that out, which they did an excellent job busting Miss Katie. But not only that, it's her conflict with knowing Caitlin Albert and lying on the stand that they were just acquaintances. Everybody knows that is deep into this case on, this platform, and Turtle Boy, whoever, Twitter, TikTok. We know damn well that was a lie. Turtle Boy did an excellent job putting that out there from the jump, right? Yeah, you can email it to me, evptalk@gmail, or you can post it in here. I don't care. All right.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Lally.
Your Honor, with the court permission, could I just pull the mask?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is requesting that the court set a cash bail in this matter in the amount of $50,000 with some additional conditions. Those conditions being the bail
I don't need the link,
read,
actually, Tigress. I have it.
Your Honor, to the defendant, as well as conditions that she stay away and have no contact with the deceased victim's family, that she stay away and have no contact with the deceased victim's residence, and that she be prohibited from operating a motor vehicle during the pendency of this case. In support of that request, Your Honor, the Commonwealth would cite the nature and circumstances of the offense as well as the potential penalty that the defendant faces, particularly with reference to the manslaughter charge and the leaving the scene of personal injury and death, the latter being bind over.
Again, this was February 2nd. So January 29th was when the 911 call was made and all of this happened. So what is that? 3 days? 3 days. And an investigation is already wrapped up so well, right? Evidence is obtained so well, right? There is no reasonable doubt whatsoever to the prosecution and anyone who did the police investigation. No doubt she did it. Biggest testimony you might ask about that, other than the tail light and the glass and all of those things that you have heard if you're watching this case. No. The biggest proponent is Katie's testimony of I hit him. That is the biggest eyewitness, quote unquote, confession, if you will, that I believe was very, it was incorrect for one, in my opinion. Maybe she was asking that, right? Because Jen McCabe's testimony says, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? All right, that's the problem. So Katie's testimony being nailed either as truth or, involving or whatever you want to call it, that was crucial for the defense, and they nailed it, in my opinion. But we need to see the very beginning on how it was portrayed to a judge and how she was arraigned, right? How they nailed Karen Reed at this time.
Facts of this case, Your Honor. Essentially on Friday, this past Friday into Saturday, January 29th, at approximately 6:04 a.m., the Canton Police Department received a 911 call from a woman reporting a male party subsequently identified as the decedent and victim, Mr. John O'Keefe, who was found in the snow at a residence on Fairview Road. At the time of the 911 call, there was heavy snow and the temperature was in the teens. Officers Saraf and Mullaney of the Canton Police were dispatched to the scene along with Canton Fire and EMS. Officer Saraf was the first to arrive on scene and observed 3 females waving at him. If you were standing on the roadway looking at the property, the 3 females were in the left corner of that property. Officer Saraf observed the victim lying on the ground as 2 of the females were performing CPR. The 3 females on scene were subsequently identified as the defendant before you, Ms. Karen Reed, Ms. Jennifer McCabe, and Ms. Kerry Roberts. Officer Saraf observed the victim to be cold to the touch, no signs of breath, and returned to his cruiser to retrieve his AED device. At this time, Canton Fire and EMS arrived on scene and took over first aid. Paramedics then transported the victim to the Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, where he was determined to be deceased several hours later. Several detectives from...
So he just jumps right into the very first officer, which we know is Officer Saraf, okay? Which he was on day 1 of the Karen Reed trial. And he says pretty much what the Commonwealth just stated, in my opinion, or during this arraignment, except for there was something left out. And I don't know if Saraf never confirmed in the reports nor on his testimony about hearing what Miss Katie said. I hit him, because Katie McLaughlin says Officer Saraf heard what Karen had said to Jim McCabe in response to Katie asking what happened prior to the call. Okay? That is the most crucial, when the defense got Katie to admit that her story evolved and Saraf never expresses that it's lining up with Katie's testimony, that's what the hoorah is about with the defense winning. Because a lot of people were like, I don't get it. But no, really. It's called perjury when you lie on the stand. Or your testimony, it's called not just perjury for lying on the stand, but impeachment for your testimony not being consistent, because you have to remember they went to the grand jury as well. And then I'm going to show you something that Alan Jackson said in a court hearing after this arraignment, but before the trial, where he says that the federal investigation is on their side, when Katie specifically says that they are reaching basically about the Trooper Proctor relationship with the Alberts. and Alan Jackson nails her ass. So that the contention didn't just start with the, perjury and trying to impeach her for her involving testimony. It was because she says some shit that it was basically pulling the Alan Jackson and David Yannetti were pulling stuff out of their ass regarding Trooper Proctor and Albert, the Albert's relationship. There's more to it than just meets the eye. That's why when you have an opinion like Pat Brown, for instance, I was really, really disappointed to hear that she had an opinion on something she had not followed, but she already had confirmation bias on, and she was like, yep, don't care. No way there's a third party culprit. There's not corruption. Like, you would be the one for a lot of people to think that you would follow it at least a little and get your background. But because she's so anti-Turtle Boy and all that stuff, confirmation bias sucks. Gonna look like Boo Boo the Fool for not getting all of the facts, right? Like, that's important to me. Rick says, I believe there's much to be questioned about the prosecution's witness. Shoot, yeah. I would say there's two sides to this. Only one, and it's been pure lies, has been told. The truth will come out for John O'Keefe. And that's what really matters. And the jury is going to make that decision. However, when you have a federal investigation going on into the investigation of John O'Keefe, if they find something, which, by the way, Michael Proctor is the target, which stems out to all these other people, including the Alberts, when he's the target and he did the lead investigation, this is where it's going to be, in my opinion, unprecedented that a conviction may be under federal scrutiny to the point where something happens to it. Because she can appeal it, right? She can appeal if they say she's guilty. She can appeal it, and the feds will maybe give the evidence to support that appeal. So either way you look at it, I mean, it doesn't look good. And if she does win that, ooh, baby. So they want her convicted. But more than, in my opinion, they not only want her convicted, but if they don't, they're going to have to protect somebody from getting convicted. Maybe these third-party culprits, right? It's very obvious to me, but not to a lot of people. And I could be wrong, and it is what it is. But to me, it's right there in front of us. It could happen to any one of us. That's right. And that's what scares me so much. Again, I'm not going to beat this to a pulp in everybody's ears, but I tell people, listen, get involved in your local community because this could happen to you or your loved one. Look at Karen Reed, finance, very successful person who is not only a professor, but works at Fidelity. I used to work for Fidelity in like the very lowest position. But it was very prestigious to work there no matter what. And you work your way up. They're very good at helping you out with your resume if you decide to leave. Like, it's a great place. Very prestigious to work there on your resume. So look at the hands. Oh, look at whose hands were super swollen up. Yeah. You must have saw my tweet. Turtle Boy's been charged with a bunch of felonies, but he hasn't been convicted either, right? And it's really ironic that he gets his credentials and then somebody who, like Grant Smith Ellis, who can't shut his fucking mouth for a minute, nor can he not get his fees hurt, and listens to people like Kevin or all these people. Like, he doesn't have a mind of his own, basically. And he makes things up, and he is a horrible journalist. He is so one-sided on Twitter. It's ridiculous. So I think that he should be banned from the courtroom, honest to God. But that's just me. And it has nothing to do with Turtle Boy. If Turtle Boy did not even exist, it wouldn't have mattered. If I were to see that behavior, I would be appalled. But I'm going to continue playing this, guys.
The Canton police arrived on scene moments after the 911 call. They began to search within the snowbanks for any evidence, at which point they discovered a broken cocktail-style glass and multiple patches of red substance that appeared to be blood in the vicinity. They secured the glass and 6 blood samples from that area as evidence. Troopers from the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, specifically Sergeant Buchanan and Trooper Proctor, then arrived at the scene and began the process. They also spoke to several witnesses. Specifically, they spoke to Ms. Jennifer McCabe. She stated that the evening prior, she and some friends were at the Waterfall Bar located within the town of Canton. She stated she and her husband arrived there at approximately 9 p.m. At approximately 11 p.m., the victim and the defendant arrived at the Waterfall Bar together. She indicated to the troopers that the victim and the defendant had been in a dating relationship for the last 2 years, and that the defendant often stayed at the victim's house most nights, is what she described it as. She observed the defendant walk into the bar holding a glass cup from C.F. McCarthy's, which is a bar located across the streets from the waterfall, with a clear liquid inside and what she believed to be a vodka soda drink. She observed.
What's really ironic, if you have not watched the trial and the witness testimony, Nicole Albert, who is the wife of Brian Albert, who Jen McCabe calls twice for, I think, 15 or 16 seconds of answered phone calls. See, Yellow Cottage Tales is going to try to convince you, this other creator who's covered the case, he's going to try to convince people that unanswered is okay. They just did not pick up. But answered is voicemail included with somebody actually picking up the phone. So it's either one of those. You could actually answer the phone call or the voicemail. No. That is not how Celebrite works, which is the report that did the full extraction of the iOS phone. It's either it's unanswered or answered. Answered meaning, if you go look at Celebrite, you can go to the website and look at the terms. You can hit that little question mark and it'll tell you. Just got to search for it. Answered is a device user or someone who has access to the device. Answered the phone. Everything else falls into unanswered, meaning if it went to voicemail. It's so stupid. Like, listen, if you don't have the receipts, you don't know. And I can show you exactly where it says that in the Celebrite website. You just hit that little question mark and it'll tell you. It's amazing.
The victim to be wearing a baseball hat, jeans, and sneakers. The victim and defendant had been at C.F. McCarthy's across the street before coming to the Waterfall Bar, as they stated. She stated that the victim and defendant appeared to be in a good mood, did not observe any argument amongst the two, described the atmosphere within the bar as friendly amongst the patrons. She indicated as the bar began to close down, everyone was invited back to that residence on Fairview Road. She observed the defendant and the victim leave the Waterfall Bar together. As the group was exiting, the victim texted Ms. McCabe, where to, at 12:14 a.m. She replied with the address on Fairview Road. At 12:18, 4 minutes later, the victim called her to ask where specifically the house was located on Fairview Road. While inside the residence, she observed a black SUV arrive in front of the residence on Fairview Road. She observed this from the front door. She texted the victim at 12:31 a.m., hello, and at 12:40 a.m. texted, pull up behind me. She then observed the black SUV move from the initial place the vehicle stopped on the street near the driveway and then proceeds to the left side of the property. At 12:45 a.m., she texted the victim hello again and then observed the black SUV drive away. She stated that they discovered the victim in the area where she...
So are you telling me what you just heard, that Jen McCabe is saying that basically John and Karen were just sitting there for 20 minutes, just sitting there? Both of them? She never says that she sees him in the car. Nothing. Just, I observed it. It gone. I don't know what happened. Are you there? Are you there? The unfortunate thing here is that the data never lies. It could be a little variance. There could be a little deletion. Unable to recover deletions, perhaps, of a call or a text or whatever, but it's very rare these days with the Celebrite and the Exeome technology and other technology. But the data, see, there's not just phone data. There's Apple Health data. There's Apple Watch data. Very accurate data. And so here's the problem. They didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of that investigation into anyone in the home besides Carrie Roberts and a few others, Chris Albert, Julie, all of those people. They were only going to be used as a witness to Karen and her behavior and what she allegedly said.
Last observed the SUV on the left side of the property as facing from the street, and at approximately 4:53 a.m. she received a phone call from the defendant looking for the victim. She indicated that the defendant was distraught and drove to her house. The defendant indicated to Ms. McCabe that she last remembered seeing the victim at the Waterfall Bar. Ms. McCabe then informed the defendant that she observed the victim and her leave the bar together. Ms. McCabe then drove the defendant's vehicle from her house back to the victim's because the defendant was too hysterical to drive and had the other friend, Ms. Carrie Roberts, follow them. While driving to the victim's house, the defendant stated to Ms. McCabe, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" Ms. McCabe stated that.
All right. Boom. What did she say again? I'm going to slow it down. This is the problem that you're seeing, where the defense, in my opinion, had a win against Katie McLaughlin in her testimony, evolving testimony.
The defendant told her about a cracked taillight on her vehicle, and Ms. Carrie Roberts followed them. Ms. McCabe then drove the defendant's vehicle from her house back to the victim's because the defendant was too hysterical to drive and had the other friend, Ms. Carrie Roberts, follow them. While driving to the victim's house, the defendant stated to Ms. McCabe, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?"
Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Remember Katie McLaughlin's testimony. We'll just jump into it. Day 3. Karen retrial. Why aren't they in my downloads? That's weird. I wonder if it's different if you download videos to watch later on your mobile versus desktop. I think it makes a difference. All right, let's jump to day 3 testimony real fast. By the way, paramedic, I think he's a paramedic, Flametti, he does a terrible job, in my opinion, of explaining anything. He doesn't know who is where. He doesn't know where Katie is versus if he's doing CPR, where he is. Like, I know it was very hard to see the footage that Alan Jackson was trying, and David Yannetti was trying to make him confirm who was who. But he did not help. He did not help her cause at all. He actually helped the defense out a lot. I mean, I'm talking about this guy. This guy didn't seem to know shit.
And when the ambulance comes to a stop or it's parked your positions, may the witness just refer to the DMS?
Interaction, but we're looking at whether they react to light as well. If there's brain activity, if there's still.
And during the course of the transport, what, if any, changes in Mr.
Okay, so I'm going to skip Lolly because it's basically just laying foundation. It's direct. What did you see, hear, do, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to play the cross-examination because obviously defense is going to explain where they're either fucking up or lying or not getting their story straight, obviously, because they're going to repeat what they just told the prosecution, the prosecutor. So
I'd like to start sort of at the beginning. When you first arrived at the location, you indicated that you could, in fact, see the body from your perspective, correct?
I could see a body, yes.
And I think you indicated the shape of the body.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell.
which is what Karen Reed did too. When she was in the back seat and Carrie and Jen were driving up on, 34 Meadows, Karen immediately sees them, and concerned about that. Like, how would they know? We didn't see anything, so how could she know? Like, she had an idea he was already there, you know, trying to play that whole thing.
Correct.
Okay, so that was a conversation that you were personally engaged in with my client in order to gather as much data, if you will, about what you were dealing with, correct?
Correct.
But your focus was, when you first arrived, your focus is, I need to attend to the patient, correct?
Correct.
Like, conversations notwithstanding, I need to deal with what's in front of me, which is an unconscious man in the snow,
Correct.
dressed inappropriately.
Correct.
You doing chest compressions? Were you squeezing the bag?
I would have been doing chest compressions initially until I could delegate that task to somebody else.
Okay, and chest compressions, I'm going to butcher this because I've never been trained other than my little toddler. They look a little like what I'm doing now, correct?
Correct.
And I
To begin transport, she then got out and then started driving.
got it. Thank you. Once you finished your conversation with Ms. Reed, did you then start attending specifically to the chest compressions and the high-level CPR that we've heard so much about from your colleague?
Yes.
As you're doing the CPR on the scene, that high-level CPR, high-quality CPR, was Mr. O'Keefe then moved to the scoop, which would then facilitate getting him on a gurney?
Correct.
That gurney was then moved between a couple of patrol cars, cruisers, and into the ambulance, correct?
Correct.
Once you were in the ambulance, the first priority is to get this person warm. Is that right?
First priority is always going to be CPR. The secondary would be getting them warmed up.
Okay.
Right. So where Alan Jackson is trying to get to, which you'll hear in just a second with this Flammati guy, because Katie says that Flammati hears this, either him or Nuttall or both hear, or says to them that she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. This is crucial. And she messes up because, you know, there's an objection that Alan Jackson does to the witness's testimony as that he asked the question to, right? Because she starts to say more, which is kind of leakage that you wouldn't get otherwise. It would have been another thing, though. It would have been another exposure to an evolving story. And it kind of gave you a little bit of insight as to maybe what the federal grand jury was hearing, right? Because those are impounded. We didn't get all of that. We're not going to get all of that testimony. It's going to come out in little bits in this trial, which I'm more worried about Brian Alberts and Brian Higgins and what they said, because they lie. They lie, boy. Don't let old St. Nicholas looking ass Brian Albert fool you with that old peepaw look. I just don't let anybody fool you, no matter who they are on the stand, because it's all about what can be proven and what can be debunked. So just hang tight on that. Everybody was like, oh, he looks like a nice gentleman. Okay. All right. All right.
So obviously, when you got into the ambulance, you could shut the doors. There's a heater on in the ambulance.
Yes.
You never came back out of that ambulance after you got Mr. O'Keefe into the ambulance, did you?
No.
Okay. And you were in there with firefighter Nuttall at the time?
Nuttall and Kelly.
And firefighter McLaughlin was outside the ambulance doing whatever she was doing?
Correct.
Okay.
Big issue there. So remember, she was out and about with Karen following her around. They come to a stop. And then at that point, she says, so what happened before this? Karen Reed looks at Jen McCabe and says, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Right? So Alan Jackson is basically saying, where were you versus what was Katie saying where she was? How can you hear something when you're here and she's there? Basically, that don't make no sense. What y'all are saying doesn't line up with the truth. And your stories seem to have evolved after Michael Proctor, the trooper for Massachusetts State Police, gets a hold of them and interviews them.
Initially, and then she came in afterwards to assist. Yeah.
And did I hear you correctly, when firefighter McLaughlin got in the ambulance, she took over the driving responsibilities?
So there's two different compartments. They're not connected. There's a little window between the two areas. So she assisted with interventions in the back. And then after we had established everything we needed to on scene to begin transport. She then got out and then started driving.
Got it. Thank you. I'd like to play, first I'd like to have marked, I think it's already been marked, Exhibit 379. It's a video, a snippet of a video. It's probably 3 minutes long. It's not that long. I'd like to play that portion of the video for you. And when it's done, Firefighter Nuttall, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong notes. Firefighter Flamati, which is not that easy to say.
Did a great job.
I'm going to ask you to show me exactly where on the video, if you can, that you had this conversation
For the laser pointer?
with my client. Yes, you can use the laser pointer as you wish.
Go ahead and use that laser pointer. I used to have a blast whenever I would get those in school, when the teacher would let you have it. Then you'd always have that asshole kid that would like to shine it in everybody's eyes. That was not me.
This is just to orient you, if I may, Your Honor. The top, this, let me see if I can do this. There we go. The top is a dash cam from one cruiser.
So I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for a second, please.
Oh, damn it, Bev, you and your sidebars. Ugh. Every time I get so tired of hearing it. I have never seen, honest to God, I have never seen this type of criminal trial where you go to the sidebar for the objection. You know, I know some places are like that where they don't want the jury to hear the objection to Meddle the Waters. And I kind of get it, but it's just new to me. And I was like, Jesus Lord, every time. Right? So you have to go and argue the objection to sidebar. It's ridiculous. But anyway, she does this too many times. Ridiculous.
Everything to think about. Well, that's why I'm
During an interview, one to the right, leading the gurney on the front side. Do you recognize that person?
I forget that they break. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
I just got that.
Sure.
Yes, they do take up so much time.
Okay.
But then Bev has the nerve to say, we're taking up too much time with the repetitive witness testimony, which I agree that we do not have to show everybody the same things over and over. Like, look, yes, this is 34 Fairview. Come on. Or 34 Meadows. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't have to be repetitive in that way, but we also don't need a sidebar like she does.
Thank you, Your Honor. Firefighter Flamati, I want to draw your attention to the top video, and I may pause it and ask you a couple of questions. Let's go.
I meant Meadows, sorry.
Awesome. Did you see a person run into the screen?
Yes.
Run into the frame, rather, from screen left?
Yes.
Who's that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it. And pause. I want to draw your attention to the left side of the top video. Did you see somebody wearing a bright yellow jacket?
If you could rewind it, I'd look at that
Why
area.
don't I play it forward
Okay.
and see if you see that?
Yes.
Pause. And do you recognize that person?
I see a yellow jacket. I can't tell you who it is.
Okay.
If anybody was really confused, Carrie Roberts is the one with the fluffy fur hat thing on the coat. Jim McCabe is the very skinny, homeless looking character with the blue hoodie on and the blue jacket.
Based on your memory, have you seen this before, by the way?
No.
based on your memory, is that the approximate position that Mr. O'Keefe was in when you or your colleagues made contact with him?
Approximately, I'd say a little bit more to the left. That would be, I guess.
Okay. Go ahead and play. Go ahead. Pause it. Okay. Do you recognize that figure now?
I can't recognize the figure, but it looks like an up and down rhythmic motion.
Okay.
That would indicate CPR.
Would that be you?
I couldn't tell you. Is the time accurate? Or 6:13?
I'm just asking you what you recognize on the video.
I couldn't tell you if that was myself or not.
Was there somebody else doing CPR?
Multiple people rotate through CPR, so yes.
Who was responsible for doing the chest compressions?
Whoever's closest to that area, we're all trained for that skill.
Okay, I'm asking in this particular case.
Yes.
I know everybody's trained. Didn't you testify earlier that you were the one doing the chest compressions?
I said I was one of them, yes.
Okay. Does that appear to be you doing the chest compressions?
It could be, I'm not sure.
Okay, let's go to the play.
Like, seriously, how do you not remember at least that? It's a Boston police officer. It's a very high profile case. You don't remember if that was you? You have to still tell police what you observed, right? Didn't you do that with Michael Proctor? Wouldn't you give those lines and details of events? Or did that just, I mean, come on. I don't know. It's just me. Hey, Chris, good to see you, love. Welcome in, welcome. Hit that like button while you're here, all 12 of you. Thank you for being here.
Okay, stop it. Do you see the person basically in the middle of the screen there?
Yes.
Does that appear to be my client? Can you tell?
I can tell.
Go ahead and play it.
So remember, Kelly, Nettle, and Flamati are the ones on scene. Flamati and, was it Nettle? Yeah, Nettle.
Pause it. You see individuals entering from screen right.
Yes.
Who does that appear to be in the yellow jacket?
That build would have been probably, it could have been Firefighter Kelly or it could have been McLaughlin.
Okay, and who's the person trailing the gurney? Right.
I can't tell.
Okay, let's go ahead and play. Go ahead, pause it. The person in the hood just obscured that figure. Did you see that figure standing on the other side of the person in the hood?
No.
Okay, go ahead and play it. Pause it. The activity that's going on just to the sort of left side of the SUV in the frame, can you describe for the jurors what that activity is?
So that would be lowering the stretcher to get ready to load the patient on.
Okay. Go ahead and play it. And now pause it. Now, this person now appears to be facing the camera. Do you now recognize that person?
I don't.
Go ahead. Pause. Can you focus your attention on that individual in the yellow jacket?
So Katie says she's the yellow jacket chick in this video.
What does that person seem to be doing?
CPR.
Which part of the CPR?
That's chest compressions.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
My God. I guess Bev got my email about breathing in the damn mic before trial because she was doing it in court. And it seems like she's doing it on purpose even more because damn, it happens all the time. And she's frustrated with defense specifically. But she does it to Lolly too when he's just being like real dumbass that day.
Okay. Chest compressions.
I want to make sure that Nancy can get down what we're both saying. So which part of the CPR?
Chest compressions.
Thank you. Is that you?
I don't know.
Okay. At this point, you have no idea whether or not you don't remember whether you were the one doing chest compressions when he was moved from the ground to the gurney?
I don't recall.
But you did earlier testify you were doing chest compressions.
I did at some point during this call, yes.
Okay.
So let's look at, since we're not getting it, defense is not getting any, at this point, any help from Sir Flamati. At this point, let's look at the documents, the indictment documents with the probable cause. Pull it up, 1 second. Trooper Michael Proctor's report. Oh, damn. Hold on 1 sec. There it is. All right. Which one is this one? Oh, this is Brian Albert, which is just as important, if not more. I guess I didn't download it. Hold on. Indictment. Thank God for Sleuthy Goosey, who made the entire Karen Reed public spreadsheet. Thank you so much for that, Nicole. All right, discovery. Boom. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So since at this point, Alan Jackson's having an issue with him being more straightforward with his testimony, like it's not difficult, it's not wrong, just say what you said you saw or what you remember, and they seem to have an issue with that. I don't know why. Here's the original report, by the way, with everybody. All right. Canton Police Department. We'll do that one too. Where's Flamati? Where's Flamati? Not in here. Nope. Well, it's just like they don't do their job. Interviewing the right motherfuckers. So here's Trooper Proctor. So again, reminder, if you don't know, on January 30th, that's when Michael Proctor interviews Katie and everybody. I'll show you. Prove it. There's Jennifer McCabe's. I hit him. Or, excuse me. Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? So here is Sergeant Bukaki. Remind me to get Brooke in chat. Remind me to, before we leave today, to show my video that I made, please. I know. Me too. The DA's office was also trying so hard to get the FBI's info on their investigation into them. Why would they think they were entitled to that right? Like, if you're part of an investigation that they obviously told you that they do not agree with Michael Morrissey's version of events of the investigation into Karen Reed's case. Yeah. So that's exactly, in my opinion, what they did. By their behavior with especially Judge Cannoni. I think that she retaliated just like they retaliated against Karen Reed when the third party culprit defense came up. I think they retaliated and upgraded her to second-degree murder for basically saying, because there was nothing additional to the charging documents of second-degree murder from vehicular manslaughter upgraded to second-degree murder. There's nothing different. Not really. Not enough to make a damn, in my opinion, not enough probable cause to be upgraded. And that was retaliation, just like what Michael Morrissey did and continues to do with Turk Boy. That third party culprit defense could not, they tried so hard not to let that in public view, but in the courts. Like, it's very, very obvious to me. And so they wanted to get info on the federal investigation. Lolly tries to act like it didn't exist, or nobody knows if it's really about Karen Reed case. Bullshit. That is a lie. And David Yannetti, I love when he goes, this is outrageous. We are outraged. It's my favorite line from him. Okay, so I think it's number 9 or 10. Okay, number 10. On January 30th at 1 p.m., Bukaki and I interviewed firefighter Katie McLaughlin at the Canton Police Department. It was mentioned, Alan Jackson kind of slid this in. Who facilitated this interview with Michael Proctor? Was it Kevin Albert? Sustained. And then they either break or they leave for the day, one of those two. And I'm like, damn it. I would like to know that. Why did you object to that? Why did you sustain it, Canoni? Because it was Kevin Albert, wasn't it? The one that was supposed to be conflicted out from the jump. But the next day he goes and gets that interview. Maybe, potentially, perhaps. We'll find out. Okay. Basically just a rendition of the basic information. Once inside the ambulance, she says, upon her arrival, Katie observed the victim being worked on by paramedics. Once inside the ambulance, Katie observed the victim to have trauma to the face, eye area, and vomit in the mouth. Katie observed the victim wearing jeans, socks, and one black Nike sneaker. The victim's shirts were cut and the chest exposed for chest compressions. Katie exited the ambulance to speak with Karen as to the victim's identity and any medical history. Katie described Karen as a white female, blah, 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 blah. Karen provided the victim's name and date of birth. Katie asked Karen if she knew where the victim suffered the trauma to his face. Remember this. That's not what she said on the stand here in a minute. But if she knew where the victim suffered the trauma to his face and was it arm? Extremities, basically. Stated Karen turned to her friend and said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. That's not what she says, though. So who in the ambulance heard this? It was either Flametti, or Nuttall, or Kelly. That's what she says on the stand. They were not specifically mentioned in here. Very, what's the word? Not transparent, for sure. Very vague. So who else did they talk to? Let's see. Did they speak to? I know they spoke to Flametti. Can't remember where it is. It's not gonna. I don't have it formatted correctly, but anyway. At the end of the day, Tony doesn't know where the hell he was doing chest compressions or who was where, right? He cannot corroborate the story of Katie. Because it might not be accurate. It probably isn't.
With this video, did you see anybody else trade off from that person doing chest compressions from the time the person was on the ground to the gurney? Or is that the same person?
It could be the same person. I'm not sure.
Okay. Would you say that's probably you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay, go ahead.
Jurors disregard that.
So there's Katie McLaughlin just kind of weeble wobbling around. There are the other paramedics and I guess firefighter EMTs.
Pause it. I want to direct your attention to this person. It appears to be a firefighter in the middle. Do you see that person?
Yes.
Who's that?
Objection, may we?
The objection sustained. I'll see counsel at sidebar.
For what? My God. Drives me fucking crazy.
One to the right, leading the gurney on the front side of the gurney.
I'm not sure.
Okay. One of your colleagues, though.
Yes.
What did you do once you left the frame? Where did you go?
That would have been into the ambulance.
And as you earlier indicated, shut the doors, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you never came back out?
No.
Okay. I'd like to draw your attention to the lower
I know.
video,
Okay.
and we're just going to let that play for a couple of minutes and see if you recognize anything. I'll ask you to pause it in just a second.
Bevo breathing ass a bed.
Where would Mr. O'Keefe have been? No pauses. You've already taken Mr. O'Keefe to the ambulance. Would you have gotten in the ambulance? One to the right, leading the gurney on the front side of the gurney.
There's that breathing. Yes, frick it is.
I'm going to ask you to look up to the top video. You see what appears to be a person wearing yellow to the right?
I just noticed this. Sorry for being an ADHD crazy person like I am. I'm all over the place, but did you just see what Carrie did? I didn't notice this before. Maybe it's nothing, but I thought she just what's she doing with that blanket?
Look up
Is
to
that
the
a
top
blanket?
video.
Watch. Did she just take the blanket and shake it? Is that a blanket? What is that? What was that? Has anybody else seen that? This is the first time that I'm realizing it. What is that? I sincerely have not thought about that or seen it, so I don't know what to do with it. Anybody know? Sincerely, I thought I'd deep dive the shit out of this every day, all day. But that's odd. Let me replay it. One more again. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to slow it down. I know that sometimes they put sheets down to transfer the victim onto the stretcher or from the board to the stretcher. I don't know. Who is that though? Simmer down, right? We've seen her putting something into the back, but not sure what it is. Well, if that's the case, that would explain why her hatchback was open, right? I don't see any blankets, Carrie. I don't see any blankets. Yeah, it's Carrie for sure. What is she shaking off of that? What is she shaking? I'm sure it's probably dirt and stuff, I guess. But for so much snow in this blizzard, where's the dirt? Oh, right, because Carrie says that underneath John, there was not snow. It was grass, right? That's what she says in the statements. So I'm very interested now seeing that. What were you shaking all over the place? Could that have been where the broken glass ended up being? Maybe there was a broken glass rolled up in that blanket and or towel or whatever this is. Right? No. Grandma, she said there was not a lot of snow underneath John. Maybe that's the missing puffy jacket that John wasn't wearing, but it was black, right? Right? So What was you doing, Miss Ma'am? And why isn't anybody blocking the scene? Why isn't anybody saying, no, 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 back away, come over here, separate everybody. Let's get some statements right now. Somebody else needs to come down here and close off the scene. Okay.
I'm going to ask you to look up to the top video. You see what appears to be a person wearing yellow too, right?
Yes.
But that's who that is.
No.
That's Katie. That's Katie McLaughlin.
Look at the lower video. Do you see what appears to be a vehicle?
Carrie's too busy. Look at this. Carrie is busy getting the snow off of her car while things are happening. She is acting so weird. And I have always been suspicious of Carrie Roberts, especially since she was so quote unquote close with John O'Keefe. Her kids were close with his kids, his adoptive kids. This is a very interesting take now. I get more suspicious when I read into her and her statements because at first I was very, yeah, she's kind of a shit friend joining the McAlberts, going along with it. But I think it's more intentional, in my opinion, only, especially with her testimony. Her witness statements to Proctor. I'm not sure how to feel about it completely yet. Yeah. So let's see what she says. I spoke to Carrie Roberts. One second. Let's see what she says to Michael Link. So, okay, in the original arraignment that we need to get back to, Lally says to the judge that two females were doing CPR. In the Stephen Mullaney report, there was only one. I observed a female party attempting CPR. We know that at least Karen was the only one initially doing CPR. Now, when somebody finally arrived, I don't know what they were doing out there, but it didn't sound like CPR to me in regards to Carrie and Jen at all. But we know for sure that Karen Reed did and said in a presser, in a short little blib, I was the only one trying to save his life. Right? So McCabe, who is the victim and identified the victim as O'Keefe, then explained that a group had gone out to the bar, blah, 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 blah. And here it says from Mullaney, Stephen Mullaney, one of the Canton police who arrived. I think that was either Gallagher or Mullaney was the one. I think Mullaney was after Sarah. While talking to Karen was hysterical and distraught and repeatedly screamed, "Is he dead? That's my boyfriend." We do hear that, I believe, in the footage at one point during this witness testimony. I'm almost positive. But Sergeant Good then advised Carrie Roberts to take Reed home. Okay. So here, it seems like Carrie's just doing her thing, y'all. Just wiping the windows, getting evidence that she shouldn't have been fucking touching, bringing it out, making sure it just, She's got to get her blanket or her towel back into her car and focus on this, because John O'Keefe, her friend, her good friend, her close friend, he'll be all right. Jen McCabe over here in the car while Karen's freaking out saying, Carrie, Jen, help. They're just sitting in there warm, not moving an inch. So getting back on track here, Katie McLaughlin, right here, she's talking to Carrie, I apologize, Jen McCabe, I believe Karen's to the right, and I'm assuming right here is Seraph. Let's play it.
In the middle of the screen?
Yes.
What is that?
That is an ambulance.
Does that appear to be the ambulance that you arrived in?
Yes.
And that's the ambulance that you took Mr. O'Keefe to?
Yes.
Doors are closed?
Yes.
Are you in the ambulance at this point?
I'm not sure.
Well, if this was, let me just ask it a different way. If this was running continuously,
Yeah.
no pauses. You've already taken Mr. O'Keefe to the ambulance. Would you have gotten in the ambulance?
I don't recall.
So I can't remember who is the one in the back, but that's definitely Jim McCabe, Katie McLaughlin, and either Seraph. I think Seraph. I can't tell. I can't see. Looks like it. Yeah. Is it Seraph or Seraph? One of those.
Looking at the lower video, do you see what appears to be a vehicle in the middle of the screen?
Yes.
What is that?
That is an ambulance.
Does that appear to be the ambulance that you arrived in?
Yes.
And that's the ambulance that you took Mr. O'Keefe to?
Yes.
Doors are closed?
Yes.
Are you in the ambulance at this point?
I'm not sure.
Well, if this was, let me just ask it a different way. If this was running continuously,
Yeah.
no pauses. You've already taken Mr. O'Keefe to the ambulance.
Yeah, I think it's
Would you have gotten
Sarah.
in the ambulance?
I don't recall.
Well, I mean, you're not standing outside the ambulance.
So if you know the answer.
Where would Mr. O'Keefe have been?
Been in the ambulance? Again, don't know for certain.
Could have been or was in the ambulance? In the ambulance, correct?
We headed that way, yes.
So firefighter.
I really feel bad for this guy because he's not trying to be evasive. I don't think. I just don't think that he is thinking this through, right? He's just saying what everybody else is kind of saying with Michael Proctor specifically. So he's kind of going along with things without really thinking about what he actually heard and saw, in my opinion. All right, so he gets pretty much blasted. This guy is pretty legit. He heard, is he dead? Is he fucking dead? We're going to skip that. We're going to go to Katie. Well, actually, who's this? I forgot this guy. I forget. What's his name again? Fire chief or whatever. He's legit too, I think.
Certifications both as an EMT and a paramedic, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, he's the EMT.
With regard to those certifications.
Not all?
When was
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
went
Let's get to Katie.
So
You know,
I was
Katie.
on the engine for that shift. So I was the third person on the engine. There's
outside? You were outside shoveling, is that correct?
trying to gather information that would basically help explain how this person ended up in the scenario that they're in. So did he have any medical problems? Does he take any medications daily? Does he have any allergies to medications? Above the right eye.
And same as far as when you went to the back of the ambulance to relay the information that you have been asked to obtain. What, if any, injuries did you observe from Mr. O'Keefe once he was in the back?
Oh, I'm sorry. I observed those injuries in the back of the ambulance. I didn't observe those injuries while he was out on the stretcher. I didn't get a good look at him.
Okay, so all of that, 25 minutes of going through that, I was trying to get you guys to here. So she just said, I did not observe his injuries while he was out and they were working on him. She witnessed or looked at his injuries and saw his injuries once in the ambulance when she was trying to tell whoever some information about what Karen Reed allegedly said. I hit him. This is crucial to me because during the arraignment, quote unquote, probable cause, right? With all of this testimony from Katie, I don't think that's what Lally said. Because what I remember, and maybe I'll back it up and play it, Lally says that once on scene, she states she saw his injuries, and then, let's listen.
Ms. McCabe stated that the defendant told her about a cracked taillight on her vehicle. Once they arrived, she texted the victim at 12:31 a.m., hello, and at 12:40 a.m. texted, pull up behind me. At 12:45 a.m., bar. Ms. McCabe then informed her about a cracked taillight on her back as Ms. Roberts drove, and Ms. McCabe was seated in the front passenger seat. She saw the victim. Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts were not able to see Roberts. Officer Saraf observed the victim to be cold to the touch, no signs of breath, and returned to his cruiser to retrieve his AED device. At this time, Canton Fire and EMS arrived on scene and took over first aid. Paramedics then transported the victim to the Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, where he was determined to be deceased several hours later. Several detectives from the Canton Police arrived on scene moments after the 911 call. They began to search within the snowbanks for any evidence, at which point they discovered a broken cocktail-style glass and multiple patches of red substance that appeared to be blood in the vicinity. They secured the glass and 6 blood samples from that area as evidence. Troopers from the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, specifically Sergeant Buchanan and Trooper Proctor, then arrived at the scene and began the process. They also spoke to several witnesses. Specifically, they spoke to Ms. Jennifer McCabe. She stated that the evening prior, she and some friends were at the waterfall bar. She and her husband arrived there at approximately 9 p.m. At approximately 11 p.m., and that the defendant often stayed at the amount of 50, that she stay away and have no contact. There was heavy snow and the temperature was in this case, Your Honor. Essentially,
Sorry, I gotta find it.
Friday, this past Friday into Saturday, January 29th, at approximately 6:04 a.m., the Canton Police Department received a 911 call from a woman reporting a male party subsequently identified as the decedent and victim, Mr. John O'Keefe, who was found in the snow at a residence on Fairview Road. At the time of the 911 call, there was heavy snow and the temperature was in the teens. Officers Saraf and Mulaney of the Canton Police were dispatched to the scene along with Canton Fire and EMS. Officer Saraf was the first to arrive on scene and observed 3 females waving at him. If you were standing on the roadway looking at the property, the 3 females were in the left corner of that property. Officer Saraf observed the victim lying on the ground as 2 of the females were performing CPR. 3 females on scene were subsequently identified as the defendant before you, Ms. Karen Reed, Ms. Jennifer McCabe, and Ms. Carrie Roberts. Officer Saraf observed the victim to be cold to the touch, no signs of breath, and returned to his cruiser to retrieve his AED device. At this time, Canton Fire and EMS arrived on scene and took over first aid. Paramedics then transported the victim to the Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, where he was determined to be deceased several hours later. Several detectives from the Canton Police arrived on scene moments after the 911 call. They began to search within the broken cocktail-style process. They also spoke to several witnesses. Specifically, they spoke to Ms. Jennifer McCabe. She stated at CF McCarthy's across the street before coming to the waterfall bar. McCabe then informed the defendant that she observed the victim and her leave the bar together. Ms. McCabe heavily, creating poor visibility. Ms. McCabe stated that just prior to the residence on Fairview Road, there was a cluster of trees, and immediately the defendant stated that she saw the victim.
Okay, so I'm looking at the actual probable cause. That's exactly what she said, or Lally said. Lally, in the initial statement, in the initial indictment, probable cause that Caitlin McLaughlin witnessed the injuries. So when you just saw what I played before in the recent court hearing, he did not get it right. This was erroneous, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to pull it up for you guys to prove it. It's just acting weird, but what a liar. What a little shit. So there is your impeachment. Thanks to Lally. He got it wrong.
Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts were not able to see the victim and were initially confused by the defendant's statement. Ms. McCabe stated that Ms. Roberts began wiping snow off of the victim as the defendant laid on top of him for warmth and then began CPR. The troopers then proceeded to the Good Samaritan Hospital to view the victim. They observed approximately 6 bloodied lacerations varying in length on his right arm, the cuts extending from his forearm to his bicep. Both of the victim's eyes were swollen shut and black and blue.
Oh, lacerations. Oh, that's interesting. I thought they were blunt force trauma, not cuts, not bites. They had to have been just blunt force trauma from Karen's vehicle, because that makes sense.
Right arm, the cuts extending from his forearm to his bicep. Both of the victim's eyes were swollen shut and black and blue. They observed a cut to the right eyelid area of the victim. Observed his clothing to be blue jeans, an orange T-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and boxer shorts that were saturated with area of the victim. Observed his clothing to be blue jeans, an orange T-shirt, a long sleeve.
Did I hear an orange T-shirt? Did I hear that wrong? Let's play that one more again.
Shirt and boxer shorts that were saturated. Observed his clothing to be blue jeans, an orange T-shirt, a long sleeve shirt.
Huh? Have I always assumed that the orange T-shirt never existed until I just reheard this? Did he have an orange T-shirt underneath the shirt? Anybody? I've never heard of an orange T-shirt. I thought it was just a pullover jacket. Have I hallucinated? Okay.
To be blue jeans, an orange T-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and boxer shorts that were saturated with blood and vomit. They observed one black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo on the sides belonging to the victim.
Vomit on his trunks, which I believe firefighter EMTs corroborated that.
On the 31st,
where are those?
The troopers attended the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
Thanks, Babs.
The doctor performed the autopsy. Dr. Scorty below advised of several abrasions to the right forearm, 2 swollen black eyes, a small cut above the right eye, a cut to the left side of his nose, approximately 2-inch laceration to the back of his head, multiple skull fractures that resulted in bleeding, and further advised that the victim's pancreas was a dark red color, indicating that hypothermia was a contributing factor to his death.
Hypothermia was a contributing factor to his death. By the way, it really hits me sometimes in the gut when you have to think about no one's seeing John O'Keefe in the snow. You know, Ryan Nagel, all of the witnesses who went home and left, Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Colin Albert, Brian Higgins, 130. None of these people, Sarah Levinson, Tristan Norris, Caitlin Albert, nobody sees John at all. Lucky Laugren, he never sees John O'Keefe at 2:30 and 3 in the morning when he's snow plowing. Matter of fact, he remembers seeing a forward edge parked where they later find John O'Keefe. And that's why he had to plow around that street. He didn't get to plow that area. So, you have to think about whenever he was harmed. We don't know when. I would assume very quickly after he arrived at in my opinion only. But it hits me in the gut to think that you have Jen McCabe Googling how long to die in the cold, and you have to really think about how long was John O'Keefe suffering for them to have to go to those lengths to put him out in the cold to die. Not just because of a frame job that I don't believe they were trying to do at the time. I think it was evolving over time, in my opinion, but whoever hurt him needed him to die. They needed him to die, y'all. How long to die in cold? You're not asking that to save his life. You're Googling that to see how long it's going to take and when your time starts. How long do you have from the time he's actually dead to the time he's found to get your story straight? Thank you, Babs, for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let me read what it says here. Great show. Thanks for the info that I wasn't aware of. Hell, I wasn't either. So we both learned something, but I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I didn't know that Carrie was shaking a damn blanket, whatever it was, off the ground. She should not have been touching that. I'm perplexed on that. But getting back on track, like, it really, really hits me how he must have suffered, because he didn't necessarily die around the time they found him, but they assumed he was dead. He had no pulse. He was in cardiac arrest. So we would assume that he passed away after he was put in the snow, in the cold. I just hope it wasn't. I hope he didn't suffer. That's my thing. Nobody talks about that a lot. But the fact of the matter is these people, whoever harmed him, third-party culprits, perhaps, whomever, made him suffer. Was he suffering in the basement of the Alberts home? Was he outside in the backyard suffering? And they had to put him in the front, then frame Karen because it finally clicked in somebody's head? Whose idea was it? I always want to know whose idea. When was the light bulb that came up? Let's frame Karen. Potentially, allegedly. The jurors will figure that out. But it's really hard for me. And I hope that I hope he didn't suffer. I really, really hope he didn't. But it's potential.
On January 29th, the troopers conducted several other interviews, including Ms. Roberts. During the course of Ms. Roberts' interview, she indicated that she was initially contacted by the defendant, Ms. Reed, at 5 a.m., that she answered. They did speak with the defendant. She indicated that she had met with the victim at the C.F. McCarthy's bar in Canton, went home since she was having stomach issues at the previous bar. She stated that she dropped the victim off. She made a three-point turn in the street and left. Did not see the victim enter the house. She indicated that she first observed the broken taillight in the morning and did not know how she broke it the previous evening.
She did not know Karen. Karen did not know how she broke it the previous evening. We all know and have seen the footage that she broke it, cracked her taillight on John O'Keefe's car when she was exiting the garage. And we know that John O'Keefe made sure that she had the garage space to pull into because it was going to snow. There was a snowstorm coming, a big one, because he's a gentleman. He's a sweetheart. But we know that she pulled in after, quote unquote, dropping him off. I don't know what you want to call it. But she hits John O'Keefe's car. Period. It's on camera. You see the car moving. You cannot dispute that. Right? She thought it was the night before. I sincerely believe that she did not know at the time that she hit his car. I really don't. Those are big vehicles. Those are big SUVs. She's mad, upset, whatever. Having to go drive in a snowstorm to go find John to the point where she's really worried about it and she's calling people. Right? Driving around. So it's just really interesting to me that that's what Lally is saying Karen said. Even though he's also saying she hit him, she hit him, she hit him. She doesn't know how she cracked her taillight. Carrie and Jen witness seeing the taillight and telling her it's cracked, don't worry about it. So this is these little things. I know they're little, but they are big indicators of who they were trying to pinhole from the jump, just by the arraignment. Comparing to the testimony now and the in-betweens, the grand jury indictment, the grand jury testimony to the feds, the leakage that kind of came out with others in this case.
She indicated that she discovered the victim in the morning. She observed him lying face up, snow on his legs, eyes swollen, and blood coming from his nose and mouth.
Snow on his legs. Let's go back.
She indicated that she discovered the victim in the morning. She observed him lying face up, snow on his legs, eyes swollen, and blood coming from his nose and mouth, and that she provided mouth-to-mouth upon her arrival.
So, whenever John O'Keefe was in the snow, Karen is saying that they're saying Karen said that there was snow on his legs. And she was trying to give him warmth by putting herself over him. Obviously, if there's blood on her mouth and face, she was giving CPR, which we know. So that's very interesting to me. Just the legs? Did she say that? Or are they saying she said that?
Further indicated that throughout the night she'd been calling and texting the victim numerous times with no response. Officers also interviewed several first responders, including a firefighter paramedic from the town of Canton, indicated that she arrived on scene, observed the victim.
Is that Carrie Roberts right here? Is that Carrie? Is that Julie? I cannot tell. Or Jen's sister? I can't tell.
Including a firefighter paramedic from the town of Canton, indicated that she arrived on scene, observed the victim's condition, went to speak to the defendant in regard to any sort of prior medical issues or causality of the injuries that she observed to his face, to which the defendant then made several statements to her, indicating, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
So is that Jen McCabe? I don't think it looks like Jen McCabe, but she's got a mask on. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. But right here, I cannot tell. It's very hard to know. But I thought it was Carrie's maybe daughter or something. I can't tell. I don't think that is I haven't seen Jen McCabe wear that kind of, that's like young people stuff. But anyway, like I figured that was Carrie's daughter. But that does look like Julie Albert, doesn't it? I don't know who this is. Is that Bukaki? I don't know. I really don't know.
In regard to any sort of prior medical issues or causality of the injuries that she observed to his face, to which the defendant then made several statements to her, indicating, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. As I mentioned, the black Lexus SUV was seized. There were fragments of broken glass that were observed on the rear bump of the vehicle. The rear right passenger side taillight was shattered, pieces missing from the red and clear areas. On the right side of the rear tailgate.
So there are broken glass pieces that just so happen to hang on for dear life. I mean, these glass pieces, these cocktail glasses are made of some shit. Some super glass for your ass. I guess. And some of them were embedded, hit John so hard. Was it 42 or 24 miles? In reverse. Blue doggy, I've never seen something like that in my life.
Deep scratch and minor dent was observed on the right side of the rear bumper above a small red light. 2 scratches were observed in one area where the paint was chipped off. Troopers from the Collision Analysis and Reconstruction section of the State Police performed several tests on the vehicle, including a rapid acceleration, forward and reverse, noting that there was no deficiencies with the braking system. They also implemented the use of a training figure resembling a human approximately 6 feet in height that was placed.
So basically, the telematic system, the info about, backing up and it alerting that there is somebody behind you, it goes beep, beep, or something to that effect. Maybe with the alarm icon in your rear view. I don't know. I don't know about Lexus. I'm a Honda girl, cheap as fuck. But that's interesting. They do this little CERT team thing, There's 8 minutes, by the way, missing. I showed this on Twitter. You can go check it out, or I can play it. But there's 8 minutes missing in the video that they played, Lally played for, you could see Trooper in the Sallyport. You could see Sergeant Lank and some other people, somebody else from Canton PD. I think the 8 minutes is probably Brian Higgins, if I'm going to guess. Because Higgins doesn't want to be there, right? But we kind of know he was. So 8 minutes missing. There's a little bit of a difference, though, with that tail light in that footage. When it jumps 8 minutes, seems to be a little scattered. Like red and clear pieces kind of scattered everywhere that wasn't there before. Maybe they broke it. I don't know. Allegedly.
Behind this Lexus. It was operated by members of the CARS unit and documented with video. The vehicle was placed in reverse and started to travel towards said training figure. The rear view camera on the vehicle was operating properly, providing a 180-degree visual. And as the Lexus traveled closer to the figure, both auditory and visual cues began to sound off within the vehicle, indicating an obstruction to the rear. Searching for potential evidence outside of the residence. Standing on the street, looking to the left of the property, there was a fire hydrant located there. In that area, they located a black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo along the side, matching that found on the victim's body. In the area of the street where the victim was recovered. In addition, in that same area, they located 2 red plastic pieces of a taillight consistent with the missing pieces from Miss Reed's black Lexus SUV, as well as 1 piece of a clear plastic piece of a taillight located in the same area, also consistent with the broken taillight on the Lexus SUV. Your Honor, with the nature and circumstances of those facts, as well as the potential penalty the defendant faces on these charges, the Commonwealth is requesting that the court set a $50,000 cash bail with the conditions as outlined previously.
Thank you, Mr. Lally.
Thank you.
Mr. Yannetti, and if you would, go right to the mic.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. So I forget that I just can go to Twitter sometimes, and my stuff that I have done over the course of a year is right here. So this is what I was talking about earlier. When the paramedics arrived and lifted the victim's body onto the stretcher, Mrs. Roberts observed the grass underneath the victim's back, not covered in snow, as the remainder of the area was. Grass, not like some snow and dirt, pure grass for your ass. Well, okay. This is the same time that she's saying, is he dead? Is he dead? That could not have been during the time of the paramedics working on them. Unless, well, let me back up. The defendant repeatedly asked Miss Roberts, Miss Cabe, and the officers and paramedics on scene, is he dead? How did Miss Roberts observe the grass underneath the victim's back? When the paramedics arrived and lifted the victim's body onto the stretcher, when she said, is he dead? Prior to doing so, way before, from my understanding. How did that happen? But there's a second point here that's very crucial. Would that have meant that the taillight pieces found could not have been on top of nor embedded in the snow, because it wasn't to that point of being embedded. The snow had just, lightly had some snow on the ground. Now, I do understand that it was snowing pretty profusely at one point when they were driving. You could obviously see it, but there should be no on top of, right? There should be no embedded glass at all. No wind. Wind is not going to do it. So it doesn't make sense to me that she observes grass underneath him. I know that his body might be just a smidge warm, okay? But even at 12:45, it would not have just been grass. Unless you dug it there. Nobody sees him. Nobody sees John O'Keefe until 6 a.m. There was many people in and out of that house, leaving the snowplow driver who said he would have seen John. He would have. No doubt about it. But there was a forward edge there where they found John. There was a forward edge there earlier when Lucky was plowing. So how does that happen? How could that be? Sheriff says I drove by Fairview today just to get a visual of the front yard before Monday starts. Really? That's awesome. Yes, and houses are close and would have seen or heard something. Right. So this is just really, really, really weird. So also, Miss Roberts observed the grass underneath the victim's back. Now we know that Jen Coffindaffer is the one that said the phone was found under John O'Keefe by a Canton police officer. And then it was taken to the police station for Trooper Michael Proctor to grab, which is a bunch of shit. We saw the David Traub email that was sent, saying, hey, Jen Coffindaffer has some good stuff on here. She posted this. Sounds good. Get the okay. But we never really know or knew the truth from the police reports which officer that was. But we do know that Proctor got it from the Canton PD per his notes. We don't know who gave it to him. So who was it? Who was it? I don't think that phone was ever underneath him at all. At all. Hey, Mr. Eve, I'm wrapping up soon. These are the big points that kind of make every other testimony. It's important, don't get me wrong. But this was like the biggest red flags from the jump where this indictment should have never happened, nor should these charge of second-degree murder. This was a botched deal from the jump. So botched that it triggered 2 lawyers with a tip from someone, from a colleague of Brian Albert, to say that there is a potential that John was beaten in the home and then put outside to die. Okay, that's how not only did the Fed get involved, but why we're here with the third-party culprit defense. Like, that is a big deal. Video reminder. Yes, thank you. My father's keeper still haven't heard anything about the phone either. Right. And he probably will in it, unless Canoni coughs at it. We'll see. So Soothie Goosey, homegirl, says, funny how not a single first responder saw or testified to John's phone being under his body. I guess Carrie Roberts is going to be the only one. Right. That was my whole entire point of this, by the way. Miss Roberts observed the grass. Was it underneath him, like Jen Coffindaffer says? How did it get to the police? Was it when Carrie was picking up that blanket or whatever, sheet, and dusting it off and whatever? Was that the planting of evidence? Potentially, maybe. I don't know. That's a stretch. Could be. Then look suspicious if you're just trying to get the sheet that you were using. I don't know. It might be a stretch, but that doesn't make any fucking sense at all. for him to have grass behind his back. You know, you have to think about it. If he was hit at 12, whatever, 12:15 to 12:40, you know, I'm going to say it's a stretch because Jim McCabe's bullshit ass testimony. This could not have happened. This could not have happened at all. Mm-mm. That would not have been a thing. Mm-mm. Nope. Planted as fuck. In my opinion, only. Oh, here's the video footage of the 8 minutes missing. Y'all want to see that? Sally Port footage.
It's hard for me to say. I believe this is the criminalist. I believe if
Yikes.
this is...
Let's do that again.
This is the criminal. I
9:36 to 9:44. Watch it again.
I believe this is the criminalist.
Whoops.
I believe if this is...
Oh, that doesn't look good. Nope. Mm-mm. Video footage of the Bukkake incident. I'm going to wrap it up, but I do want to continue making video, or I'm going to upload the videos that kind of recap this and then continue on. I think that I'm onto something with Katie. I do believe that Katie changed her story because of who it was in regards to the property. Her friend Caitlin's family. I do believe it. I think the federal investigation and probe is definitely telling them otherwise. For Kevin Albert to allegedly, per David or Alan Jackson, asking Katie who set up the Proctor interview with her was Kevin Albert, brother of Brian and Chris Albert and Tim. Hooey. Makes sense to me. I will, Brooke. That's just me. Media. Thank you for staying here with me for almost 2 hours. Thank you, Mr. Eve, for helping sister out. Here's the Bukkake video.
Yes.
You've also provided child care for her children, correct?
Yes.
Oh, on strike. What?
Oh, wait, here's the other video. This is not the Bukkake video. This is the other one that I played. Let's start over.
Correct?
Yes.
You've also provided child care for her children, correct?
Yes.
Oh, on strike. What?
Right, I'll see you.
Just some ghetto fun. But this is the one. This is the Bukkake one.
At 5:30 p.m. on February 10th, correct?
Correct.
Where did that interview take place?
At my home in Canton.
Who was present for that interview?
Me, my husband, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Bukkake.
You were interviewed.
What a character. Whew. Y'all know how to party in Mass. Us Texans over here, we don't know nothing. We just float down the river and hope we survive while drinking beers. That's a party. So, yeah. Yep. Oh, one more. I swear I'll let you go. I promise. I will dismiss everyone.
As a matter of fact, Ms. McLaughlin wrote the following.
I wanted to show this. This was another clip that I found in the March 12th, 2024 court hearing where Jackson threw so many bombshells, and then David Yannetti coming up with the assist on that. So Katie is mentioned in the opposition that she wrote about Proctor. I did not realize, or I had maybe forgotten that she had opposed the motion for records. So let's listen to what he has to say.
As a matter of fact, Ms. McLaughlin wrote the following in her opposition. Trooper Proctor's supposed close and personal relationship with the Alberts is, quote, entirely unfounded and a desperate creation of the defense, a desperate creation of ours. She says we created this.
Why would Katie McLaughlin be so upset about that to the point where her and her defense attorney is saying, or her attorney rather, is saying, y'all made this up. Y'all are crazy. But listen to what he says.
But now we have the benefit of the federal investigation.
Thank you, my father's
And the
keeper.
Commonwealth finds itself in that very unenviable position of having to eat some very distasteful words. Because we didn't create anything. As a matter of fact, Ms. McLaughlin.
So, they didn't create anything. This is what we're telling you. And we have the feds and the details in the Fed investigation from the TUI report backing our asses up. Do you want to keep going, Miss McLaughlin? Do you want to keep it up? She certainly did with her attitude in court. This was 2 months ago. Okay. It was out there. You might want to impeach this heifer. This woman, because we got the goods and they know it. Canoni knows it. So this is what I'm confused about. They know it, but they have no choice but to take this all the way, right? And object to incriminating evidence, in my opinion, of the third party culprit. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to be biased. That's just how I feel. But that right there kind of tells you, if you listen, that TUI report, that 3,000-page bombshell, they know it. They read it. Lally and Judge Canoni knows it, read it. They know the details. So if they have that and they won't drop the charges on Miss Reed with exculpatory evidence and damn near proof of an alleged cover-up of some kind, or mishandling of a case so atrociously that they are going to keep going with this, they're trying, in my opinion, to help prevent any evidence coming out of this case where it incriminates them even more, the third-party culprits, in my opinion. Or themselves. Including Lally, including the judge, including the whole freaking DA's office, which they are definitely under scrutiny for sure from those 6 pages that they got. So from Michael Morrissey speaking to Josh Levy, So I'm just saying, this is really, really bad. If anyone's wondering why the objections are coming left and right when third-party culprits are being discussed, here you go. In my opinion. I'm going to check them in chat and let's get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for coming and listening to me. They have been waiting on Bev's ruling. She's struggling and changing it up again. Yep. About Turtle Boy, you mean? Yeah. What I wonder is, why wasn't Jen worried she wasn't able to get a hold of her sister before barging into the bedroom? That's my next big thing. Probably tomorrow. Yep. I want to know why she was telling Karen Reed to calm down. You're being hysterical, per Katie McLaughlin's testimony. But she can burst in and say, he's dead. Oh, when did it change? Your 911 call said, I think he's dead. I think he's dead. Real quick. I know I said I was going to get out of here. I promise you this time. I'm not going to promise you anymore. I'm just going to play it. You can leave if you need to, but let's listen.
Yes, I need someone to report this 34 Fairview Road, Vietnam. There's a man passed out in the snow. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why he's dead. I think he's dead.
So matter of factly, I think he's dead. My friend, he's dead. But tells Karen to calm down when, paramedics arrive and the cops are there for the show. And then she goes into the house. Ironically, at the same time, John O'Keefe's data is going off on his phone, showing that there's some activity going on. Interesting. Calls Nicole Albert twice, answers the call. Not voicemail, Kevin Plevin. Yellow College Shells. No. What the fuck? It's okay for Jen McCabe to act whatever the way she acts, depending on who it is, but Karen cannot be hysterical and act up a fool? No, that is not okay. This is why I was really pissed off, and I don't really want to go immediately into Nicole and Julia Albert's testimony, but I'm going to tomorrow. But it pisses me off hearing those things. Because Karen, man, I mean, no matter what she did or said or whatever happened, it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. She was the one to go to jail for this, go down for this. She was the one. It's so clear. But Karen, you're hysterical. You're hysterical. I hit him. He's dead. Bullshit. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here with me. I have some videos coming out very, very soon. I'm uploading them actually as we speak. So if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, the like button. Leave a comment below. Again, thank you for being here. Y'all have a great night. Justice for John O'Keefe. Bye-bye.